Unexpected shift? DPP's bold move, ready to work with government, what this means for citizens. In Zambian politics, words matter and timing matters even more. The Director of Public Prosecutions has now declared readiness to work with government on issues affecting the people. Is this a breakthrough in governance, or a carefully calculated political signal? What does cooperation really mean in a system built on checks and balances? Stay with us as we unpack the facts behind this unexpected statement. Good day, viewers. Welcome to another edition of InspirAfrica Official. I'm Nakash. Well, what a week it's been across the continent. The political landscape never ceases to surprise us, and today, we're diving into a story that has left many scratching their heads, wondering what comes next. Our lead story today, a stunning political pivot that nobody saw coming. Imagine this. A party that has spent years, positioning itself as the vigilant opposition, the watchdog, the voice of dissent, the protector of democratic accountability. A party whose very identity has been built on challenging the government at every turn, questioning every decision, every policy, every move, and then, in a moment that feels almost cinematic in its unexpectedness, they announce they're ready to work with the government they've been opposing. What changed? What conversations happened behind closed doors? What promises were made, what assurances were given, that could transform opposition into collaboration overnight? Is this a genuine attempt at unity for the greater good of the nation? Or is this a calculated political maneuver, a strategic repositioning as electoral maps are redrawn and allegiances are tested? Who benefits from this unexpected alliance? The government, certainly. But what about the citizens who voted for the DPP precisely because they were the opposition? What about those who believed in the checks and balances, who saw the DPP as the crucial counterweight to executive power, and perhaps most importantly, what does this bold move really mean for ordinary citizens watching this political theater unfold? Will this lead to tangible improvements in their daily lives, or is this just another chapter in the endless cycle of political maneuvering that leaves them behind? Factual foundation, background and timeline. The revelation came to light earlier this week during a press conference that caught political analysts completely off guard. The Democratic Progressive Party, known widely as the DPP, has been one of the most vocal opposition forces in the country's political landscape for the past 6 years. Since losing power in the 2019 elections, they've carved out a clear identity. The party of accountability, the voice challenging government overreach, the champion of transparency. The initial hints of a shift emerged approximately 3 weeks ago, when keen observers noticed a subtle change in tone. DPP spokesperson statements began including phrases like national interest and constructive engagement more frequently. Newspaper columns started speculating about backroom discussions, but most dismissed it as rumor. Then, on Monday morning, DPP President Arthur Singano called an emergency press conference. Political journalists rushed to the party headquarters, expecting perhaps another corruption allegation or policy critique. Instead, they witnessed something entirely different. At 10:47 a.m., Singano stepped to the podium flanked by the party's executive committee. His opening words were measured, deliberate: "We stand at a crossroads as a nation." By Tuesday, the news had spread across every media platform. Opposition ally parties were demanding explanations. Social media erupted with hashtags both supporting and condemning the decision. Civil society organizations issued statements ranging from cautiously optimistic to outright skeptical. Wednesday brought a government response. The President's office released a statement welcoming the DPP's mature and nation-first approach, while carefully avoiding any specifics about what collaboration might look like in practice. By Thursday, Parliament was buzzing with speculation about potential cabinet reshuffles, committee realignments, and what this might mean for upcoming legislative sessions. Direct evidence, quotes and testimony. Let's hear directly from the key figures themselves, because their words reveal much more than any analysis could. DPP President Arthur Singano, during Monday's press conference. We have spent considerable time, months, actually engaging in deep reflection about our role in this democracy. And I want to be very clear here, our fundamental values have not changed. Our commitment to accountability, to transparency, to representing the voices of ordinary citizens, that remains rock solid. But we have also recognized something important. We have recognized that opposition for opposition's sake serves no one. When we look at the challenges facing our nation right now, the economic pressures, the infrastructure deficits, the educational system that needs urgent attention, we have to ask ourselves, are we doing everything we can to be part of the solution? So, yes, we are ready to work with this government. Not because we agree with everything they do. Far from it. But because we believe that on certain critical national issues, collaboration can achieve more than confrontation. A journalist then asked, "Mr. President, many of your supporters feel betrayed by this announcement. What do you say to them?" Singano's response was revealing. "I understand that feeling. I really do. And I want those supporters to know that we hear them. But I would also ask them to consider this: what kind of leadership would we be demonstrating if we refuse to engage, even when engagement could mean better hospitals, better schools, better roads for the communities that voted for us? We're not abandoning our principles. We're actually applying them. We're saying that the principle of putting citizens first sometimes means setting aside political pride." Meanwhile, the government's response came through the Minister of Information, Grace Chimwala, who spoke to reporters on Wednesday. "We welcome the DPP's decision with open arms. This is what mature democracy looks like. This is how nations move forward, not through endless political warfare, but through finding common ground. The president has always maintained that his door is open to any party, any organization, any group that wants to work for the betterment of our people. The DPP has now taken him up on that offer, and we will engage with them in good faith." But not everyone in the DPP seemed completely aligned. Vice President of the party, Linda Konda, gave a more cautious statement. "Look, this decision was not made lightly. There were very robust discussions within the party leadership. Some of us had reservations, and still do, to be honest. My concern is this: how do we maintain our identity as an opposition party while simultaneously collaborating with the government? How do we hold them accountable while working alongside them? These are questions we're still working through. But the majority of our executive committee felt that this was the right direction. So we move forward together, even those of us who have concerns. That's what party unity means. Deeper analysis, implications and reactions. So what does this all actually mean? Let's dig deeper into the implications. From a political science perspective, this represents a significant realignment. Dr. Mfatso Banda, a political analyst at the National University, offered this assessment. What we're witnessing is potentially the beginning of a coalition-style governance model, even if it's not formally called that. In parliamentary systems, this is common. Opposition parties join governing coalitions for specific policy goals. But in our presidential system, it's far more unusual. The question becomes, what does the DPP get in return for their cooperation? And what happens to checks and balances? Indeed, that question of accountability looms large. Civil society organizations have expressed deep concern. The Citizens Forum for Democracy issued a statement pointing out that a functioning democracy requires robust opposition. When opposition parties become collaborative partners, who watches the watchers? The economic angle cannot be ignored either. Some analysts suggest this move is timed strategically with the upcoming budget session. The government has struggled to pass certain economic reform bills that have been blocked by opposition coalitions. If the DPP now supports these measures, it could dramatically reshape the country's economic trajectory. From the DPP's traditional support base, urban professionals, youth activists, and reform-minded voters, reactions have been decidedly mixed. Social media polling, admittedly unscientific, suggests roughly 60% disapprove of the decision, while 40% are willing to wait and see. Youth activist Martin Fairai didn't mince words. "We voted for the DPP because they promised to be different. They promised to hold government accountable. Now they're joining hands with the very people they said were failing us? This feels like a betrayal. It feels like they're more interested in getting access to power than in staying true to their principles." But business community representatives have been more positive. The Chamber of Commerce released a statement praising what they called political maturity that prioritizes economic stability over political point scoring. Legal experts have also weighed in on procedural questions. Constitutional lawyer James Moyle noted, "There's nothing legally problematic about an opposition party choosing to work with government. That's well within their rights. But the devil will be in the details. Are we talking about occasional cooperation on specific bills? Or are we talking about formal power-sharing arrangements? If DPP members join the cabinet, for instance, that raises very different questions about conflict of interest and accountability structures. The regional dimension adds another layer. Observers from neighboring countries are watching closely, as opposition dynamics across southern Africa have been evolving. Several countries have seen similar shifts, with opposition parties eventually joining governments of national unity or broad-based coalitions. Perhaps most tellingly, the silence from certain quarters speaks volumes. The other major opposition parties have been conspicuously quiet. Are they waiting to see how this plays out before making their own moves? Are they positioning themselves to absorb disaffected DPP supporters? The strategic calculations are clearly complex. And that's where we are today, viewers. A political landscape that has shifted beneath our feet, leaving more questions than answers. Will this collaboration actually translate into better services, improved infrastructure, and enhanced opportunities for ordinary citizens? Or will it simply blur the lines of accountability, making it harder to know who to hold responsible when things go wrong? Only time will tell. What I can tell you is this: InspirAfrica official will be following this story closely. We'll be watching what comes out of those first collaborative sessions. We'll be tracking whether this partnership produces concrete results or just political theater. And most importantly, we'll be asking the hard questions on behalf of you, the citizens. Thank you so much for watching today's edition. I want to hear from you. What do you think about the DPP's decision? Is this pragmatic politics or a betrayal of principles? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's get a conversation going, because this affects all of us. We'll be back with you tomorrow with more stories, more analysis, and more of the news that matters to you and your communities. Until then, I'm Nakash, and this has been InspirAfrica Official. Take care, stay informed, and we'll see you tomorrow.